What's going on, guys? I'm breaking down UFC Denver today. My bad for the no video these past few weeks. I've honestly just had a lot going on. Life, work relocation, property needed a ton of work, just a lot of things going on. I will not come out here if I didn't do the proper research, but we're locked in now. We got some time on my schedule, so got 7 straight fight cards. We got Contender Series coming up, and I plan on doing breakdowns for all of those. So let's get right into this one, man. First fight of the night, we got Petroski versus Josh Fremd. From a money line side, it's tough to get to either guy here. I think the early numbers on Fremd plus 120, plus 130 were solid. Right now, I lean the Petroski side, but obviously coming off 2 knockouts, Michel Pereira, no shame in that. He was 1 week notice coming in from Thailand on vacation. I don't know why he took that fight, and then he got sparked. But in his next fight against Malkoun in Atlantic City, it's didn't look the best in round 1. His striking isn't great. It's not very technical. It's just big overhands and big shots. In that fight, obviously round 2, we had the little hip check, knockout, whatever you want to call it. A little suspect there. Not a great look. But then on the Fremd side, this guy's last win is Jamie Pickett, who even Pickett found some success in the wrestling there. Before that was Dumas. Okay. Saw Tresean Gore put on a wrestling clinic on this guy and end up getting one of the nastiest guillotines I've seen in round 2 there. And before that, we saw Fluffy just process grapple him for almost 15 minutes of that fight. Probably had like 7-8 takedowns. Defended the submissions well there, but I still think, like I mentioned, man, it's a bad look that Tresean Gore is is putting it on you like that and finding the submission. Tresean Gore is not a good grappler. He's just not, man. So in this fight particularly, I think Petroski has the wrestling early to get Josh Fremd down at a pretty high clip. I think his control is pretty good. He will look for submissions, but he's not chasing stupid stuff. He doesn't really lose top time that much. I think Petroski early here will find a lot of success. Now, I just wouldn't play his money line because, look, if this goes over 1.5 rounds, he will gas. And it will get greasy. We saw the GM3 split decision performance. His cardio just fell off. Saw it against Wellington Turman as well. So I'm playing Petroski round 1, round 2 submission, plus 1,000, plus 1,300, 0.1 unit each. Like I said, man, moneyline, I lean that way, but I just can't get there. But I do think early on in this fight, he will get top time at a pretty high clip. He'll get him down at a pretty high clip. And I think he can lock it in, man. I think he can. Maybe an arm triangle, maybe gets to the back. But overall, man, at the numbers it's currently at, that's his path, and I'll take a shot there. So next fight up, we got Santos and Maria Agapova. Absolutely love this fight, man. Have a few bets here. I got 2. So at open, I played Maria Agapova plus 285, no tape, just the pure notion of how is Santos minus 400 over anyone in the UFC? Come on now. And look, the line came in a ton, got down to minus 220. Santos came back out, and now we're at minus 420. So I think the line's wide. I get all the red flags on Agapova. I've seen the Patreon post. He's talking about, she can't sleep. She's taking a ton of pills. She's broke. She missed her flight. It's just a lot of red flags. But Santos has fought the absolute worst competition at this level. And in those fights, man, what do we learn in her 3-minute knockout where she showed that she has no technical striking and can wing big shots? I didn't learn anything there. And then in her last fight, she, I know she has that apparently a thyroid disease, and that's why she gained a bunch of weight. But I also see her talk about how she wasn't as serious and she was, vacationing more. So I don't even know, how serious her training is. I know she said the PI, but look, a lot of people are out in Vegas. Santos, I think her judo here is going to be, the big thing. Can she get Agapova down? I think Agapova's submission defense is pretty brutal. We saw that in her karate combat bout recently against a 17-year-old who got immediately heel hooked. But overall, I think, Agapova's takedown defense for single legs and double legs is really not that bad. Watch that Jillian fight back, and Agapova was a bit compromised there. She's had a ton of knee injuries in her career. I want to say the second time she's needed some, surgery or something on that knee. And she did really well in round 1, defending against Jillian. She lands a ton of shots. If you're not getting her down and you're along the cage, she will land a ton, man. Elbows, knees, like she's mean. Her striking is a lot cleaner, a lot more technical than Luana Santos here. But what it comes down to is the judo. You know, can Santos get her down early and often? And I think as this fight extends, I don't know if I even trust Santos's cardio. She is usually mouth wide open in round 3, but we've seen Agapova gas, and we've seen Agapova also adrenaline up against, was that Bannon? She minus 1,200 favorite. But overall, man, I've seen more of her at this level. I know the red flags are there, but I just don't see, you know, maybe Santos minus 185, minus 200 because of clear grappling upside, but this girl is not a minus 400 favorite over many people. So I did play Agapova half unit plus 285 at open. I do have a wager 0.2 units on the Luana Santos submission round 2, round 3, plus 470. So I'm playing both sides here. You know, I don't love doing that, but I think both numbers are value. I think Santos's path here is likely round 2 or round 3 submission. She could win the decision, but like I mentioned, there's enough things on Agapova here to be concerned if she doesn't win this fight early. Like I don't know. I worry about her taking on the fence, and I worry about her grappling, I worry about her cardio. I worry about who she's been training with. I worry about her camp. Everything going on with her is all red flags, but I do think her money line's value. So plus 285 on Agapova money line, and then half unit, and then 0.2 units on Luana Santos submission round 2 or round 3. Fun fight, man. I don't know why. I'm excited for that one. Something about, I'm an Agapova fan. I know she gets a lot of slander. I'm rooting for her. Like, man, I think she's had, you know, like a lot going on, but this is not a bad matchup for her. So give me, like I said, Agapova money line or Santos late sub. Next fight up, we got Damone Blackshear versus Montel Jackson. Tough fight to cap, man. I went back and forth for a while on this one. I love backing guys like Montel. He is super lanky, super explosive, dynamic, very good striking, and he knocks down everyone. But when we look at Montel Jackson's career, his wins haven't aged well at all. I mean, the Julio Arce one is good. You know, it's a good win. Knocking out Ronnie Yaya, okay. He didn't knock out JP Buys. He knocked him down 4 times, but he couldn't finish JP Buys. And JP Buys did find success early there in round 1. Got him down, man. Got his back. Montel is not an easy guy to submit. He's got, you know, yes, he is very long limbs, but they've got those massive hands, man. Like he's not an easy guy to, you know, lock like a RNC on or something. But we saw JP Buys, his durability is terrible. What? Cody Durden sparked this guy. McGee sparked this guy. We've seen a lot of people, you know, finish JP Buys at this level. I want to say Montel is the only guy not to finish JP Buys at this UFC level. Been knocked out a ton. Okay, Jesse Strader. All right, I mean, Montel is beating these guys. He's knocking them out. But what do we learn from that performance? Brett Johns, you know, out-wrestled him. There was a lot of cage control there. But I think sometimes Montel is a little gun-shy. And Blackshear striking is improving. It's improving. Like, if you watch his regional tape to now, man, he's made a ton of improvements there. We know his grappling's good. I love that he's been in Tucker Muay Thai for months, man. He's been out there for a while. And I know it's a short notice, and his last few fights, I feel like he's always fighting on short notice and slowing down in round 3. But I think Blackshear can compete on the feet here to keep it close. I don't think he's winning rounds and minutes, you know, clearly on the feet, unless, one thing about Montel, and we haven't seen anyone do this really effectively, Montel's legs, I've always just been curious. If someone came out and landed like a solid 20 leg kicks on him, what does that look like, man? He just doesn't seem that durable down there. Like, when you have that kind of frame, there's just really no muscle or fat. And I do think Blackshear does have good leg kicks. Like I said, I worry that he can be countered if he comes out kicking too much. But overall, Blackshear's grappling, I love it, man. Love his back takes. Love the body lock takedowns. Love the doubles. Everything, man. Everything he does, I think, is just very high level. We've seen him against, very good guys. Basharat, we saw his last fight, Mario Batista. I bet him there against Batista. And there was concern of this guy coming around like a 1 week turnaround, whatever it was. But he performed great there. And it's a very close fight. And like I said, I wish he had a full camp here. But, man, if Montel, Montel can definitely knock him down here and just win rounds that way. I do think this goes to the decision. I just have to side with the plus money on Blackshear, who I think can compete in the striking and will have a decent grappling upside, and I think can get a back take or two here. So, yeah, man, I liked Damone Blackshear here. Played him at plus 125 for 0.8 units. I saw it's up to plus 130 right now, so maybe I'll cash that out and rebet it. But either way, man, I like Blackshear here. Next fight up, we got Fatima Klein versus Jasmine. This is a pass for me. I think either girl. So this line opened at like Jazz was like minus 240, 250. Klein came in at plus 210. Any plus money early on Klein, those like plus 150 and higher, great numbers. Any of the plus money on Jazz probably was a great number. I think this fight, you have the much more skilled fighter in Klein here, who's still young, very young, unproven, untested. I mean, the girls she's fought they're all strawweights, and some are even atom weights. She has not fought anyone that's going to have the physicality of Jazz here, which is concerning when you're going up in weight class on short notice and elevation. I do think Klein's more skilled on the feet. I'm very high on her game. CFFC is like, most of her fights are like 20 minutes away from me in Philly, so have seen her fight in person before, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of her game, but overall in this fight, it's a daunting task going up and fighting Jazz, who her striking isn't great, but we know she is physical as fuck. She is tough, and she'll keep coming forward, man. I feel like I want to back Klein here. I do, but I just can't play her at a near pick'em on short notice coming up in a weight class at elevation. So for now, man, it's a pass from prop side. I think it goes over. So, either girl by decision, but the numbers are terrible. You're getting like plus 130 on that, plus 150. So nothing I like there. Next fight up, we got Joshua Van and Charles Johnson. I get the takes for CJ here. We got Joshua Van minus 225 at the moment in a striking fight against the much taller, lankier, more experienced, very good striker in Charles Johnson. Now, for this one, a lot of CJ's tape is him, tiring guys out, and then in round 3 just putting it on these guys who can't grapple him that effectively. I think, I watched the Zalgas fight for both guys, obviously. And when you watch Zalgas and CJ, obviously both Van and CJ come out very slow in round 1. But when I watched Zalgas, I feel like he had so much success with his pressure boxing. He worked the body really well, threw combos really well. And I think at times Johnson is too technical. And we see it happen a lot, man. Like, he's so clean. Like his hands, love his kicks. Good counter game. He's a very well-rounded striker, very high level. But I think sometimes I wish he just would let it go. And this is why he often falls behind in fights where, yes, Van falls behind in fights. But when he comes out in round 2, round 3, man, I know it's the low-level guys, but he's landing like 50, 70, like absurd numbers on strikes. And when it comes down to this fight that's heavily favored to go to the judges, what's going to score better? Josh Van sitting in the pocket, letting a fucking 5-piece combination rip, or Charles picking his shots, landing those nice kicks, landing that right hand, which I think, both these guys they're set up with the jab. So it's going to be interesting to see who gets it going first. We saw in the Hadley fight, CJ couldn't really get his jab going with the opposite stance, and like once he just said, fuck that, I don't even need my jab, I'll just throw combinations, I'll let it rip, he found a ton of success there. But even in round 3, it's not like he was really separating from Hadley there. That fight could have easily been swung in the other direction just in one moment. So, I think CJ fights a little close sometimes. And, not always when guys gas, he'll put it on him, but I don't think we see Josh Van gassing here. Josh Van's young, making improvements. I can't play his money line at minus 220 in a 15-minute, stricken fight. It feels volatile, but I do think of all the lines here, plus 100 decision on Jasmine. That's my bet here. Played it for a half unit. You have to shop around. Bet Online has the best number right now. I want to say like FD and DK are like minus 120-ish or a little chalkier. So I think, this fight's going to play out close. But I'm going to just lean Van here down the stretch. I think when Johnson's looking for his shots, Van's just going to be letting it go, man. And, of course, yeah, CJ Ken has a theoretical wrestling upside, but, man, I don't think he gets it here. So give me Josh Van by decision, plus 100. I think he, money line, like I said, I lean that way, but at minus 225, there's really no value there. So pass on a money line. Next fight up, we got Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Cody Brundage. Got a good scrap here, man. So I'm fading Brundage here, so I'll start on his side. I've had to learn how to bet Cody Brundage. I remember I loaded up on Dalcha Luambula over this guy at like minus 135 like 3 years ago. And it looked so good, man. It looked so good. And then as Brundage does, he'll pull a win out of his ass. Just randomly, just locks in a guillotine, the most like meme finish ever. So I kind of learned from there on. I'm like, be careful when you're fading this guy. So I ended up playing the Malkoon round. I played Brundage round 1 KO over Malkoon. Felt so dirty about that, but we cashed like plus 1,600. And then I played him over Zach Reese. In this fight, I get that Abdul, he can be taken down, but his get-ups are good, man. He got up all, like from Buckley like multiple times in round 1, like 3-4 times. Got up on Pfeiffer multiple times. His gas isn't great. Don't love that this is at elevation, but he has been training out there for a bit, so maybe we see some improvements. And we did see in that Buckley fight, like round 3, Al Hassan was a much fresher fighter. And just from like market perspective, man, so Buckley Al Hassan, that was supposed to be on the Cater Chikadze card. And that line was minus 125 the first time around. It got a little wider, like second time around, but still, Buckley was like 60% over this guy. What would Buckley versus Brundage be? I mean, come on, like minus like 800. I mean, like literally, I think Brundage here, his path would be consolidate top time and control Al Hassan or lock in a submission. Who is Brundage taking down and controlling? I really haven't seen it. I mean, he gets takedowns, but this guy gets shit for control. Everyone gets up on him. And then the striking, yes, he's powerful, but he doesn't do like much. He lands like a little over 1 strike like per minute. Like it's one of the lowest I've seen ever at this level. And then of course you add in the fact that he's a complete flake. If he faces like major adversity, he will flake and quit in there. So yes, Al Hassan is getting older. And he's a bit one-dimensional, but I think he would actually have more like upside for controlling top time here. like I think he actually would be way more likely to get, if this went 15 minutes and you said one of these two held the other down for half the fight and controlled them, I think Al Hassan has more upside for the grappling here. Brundage has been taken down, controlled in a lot of fights. Dumas absolutely controlled this guy for 10, 12 minutes of that fight, man, like ridiculous numbers. I think Al Hassan knocks him out in round 1. So I played money line here, minus 156 for 0.8 units. Kind of wish I went heavier, but man, you know what? It's Al Hassan who's getting older, so I'm fine with the 0.8 units here to fade Cody Brundage. So give me Al Hassan round 1 knockout. Next fight up, we got Juicy J, Julian Erosa versus C-Rod here. There's another one, man. I was hoping for some playable numbers on like C-Rod KO, but we're clearly not going to get that at this point of Erosa's career. So right now, I mean, I lean C-Rod, but when have we ever seen him as a minus 200 favorite? We haven't. So, I think a lot of times we've seen C-Rod find success in the UFC. We saw him outstrike Cameron Simon. We saw him outstrike a bit in the JSP fight. He had some better moments on the feet, but primarily his wins have come from defensive grappling, tiring guys out, and then just putting it on them late. I love C-Rod defensively. I love his cardio. I just don't like him at this weight class. It's, it is what it is. He's here now. He missed weight a couple times, and he'll probably have to fight here for a bit. But he's undersized, and I don't think it's just not the right weight class for him. And like Julian Erosa, as chinny as he is, typically it's early. So GCJ's got one of these chins where that first 3 minutes of the fight, first round even, like anyone can spark him, like anyone. But after a few shots, he starts like getting into the fight a little bit. But we saw in the Ricardo Ramos fight, look, I know they didn't score any real knockdowns. He was getting wobbled all over the place before that submission. Did call that sub, didn't bet it, unfortunately. But Erosa's one of these guys you just can't count out at these massive plus numbers. I get stylistically, I get the takes for Erosa. I can't get there. I mean, the chin is a major concern. I think, if C-Rod came out faster in fights, I would lay that KO number, but he doesn't. He usually comes out pretty slow. So right now, man, I think it's a pass overall. I consider, C-Rod ITD, but the numbers, it's like plus 150. It's not good. At that point, just play unders. But, I don't think Erosa's getting the finish here. So as you can tell, I'm not like passionate take here. I lean C-Rod. I love C-Rod, like backing C-Rod at like plus money numbers, but laying chalk on him in featherweight just doesn't seem right. So next fight up, we got Gabriel Bonfim versus Loosa. I was considering under 1.5, plus 130-ish. I'm not sure where it's at right now, if it's moved a bit, but it's a tough fight. So on one side, Loosa has been historically durable because he hasn't been finished, but this guy's been on death's door a few times. I bet Loosa over Fletcher there. I mean, back and forth fight. Both guys were, almost finished there. We saw against Brian Battle. I mean, very close to getting out of there. We saw Loosa get hurt. Yeah, Reese McKee, the round 3 looked suspect there. Some bad looks visually. Just him, I don't know if he gassed out there or what, but it was rough, man. Round 3, Loosa looked bad against McKee. In this fight, it's hard to back Gabriel Bonfim minus 300 after blowing, everyone's parlay at minus 600 at UFC Brazil. Much different matchup. I think Dalby, stylistically, yeah, it makes sense what happened there. I don't even think his cardio is that bad for Bonfim here. I think he just adrenaline dumped there. His striking is good. Love his 1-2s. His hands are actually pretty underrated. They're pretty quick. I think the striking here, honestly, the KO could be sneaky. The only problem with the KO on Bonfim, if he hurts him at all, he'll just lock in that guillotine. So I don't really want to play ITD at minus 200. Maybe I'll get to some round props here, but my read is Bonfim finish, but the numbers aren't great. And you have this thing where he did gas out last fight. He did adrenaline dump. He may not come out as active here. Maybe a little more patient. So maybe there's value on the later ones. But yeah, just a pass for me. The current numbers. Next fight up, we got Drew Dober and Gene Silva. So I was able to cash pretty decent on Gene Silva over Charles Jourdain there. This time around, maybe if I got the early plus 140 number that this opened at on Gene Silva, I would have played it. But from a money line side, I pick him. It's a pass for me. So for Gene, I really like the striking, man. I think his counters are really good. And then here for Dober's the kind of guy that, yes, he lands volume, but he's so hittable. He is so hittable, and he's a guy that's relied on his chin and durability through the years to get him by. Now, last 2 fights, it held up, Ricky Glenn and Moicano. Before that, though, we saw McKinney was the first guy to ever knock him down in UFC. And then Frevola was able to be the first one to knock him out ever. So, well, not ever. He got knocked out back in like one of his first fights. So his first ever UFC knockout there from Frevola. In this matchup, man, I just feel like they're going to sit down in the pocket and just swing. I like Gene's counters. I like the pressure of Dober. Physicality, overall competition, power, hardware. I lean Dober here. Then you add in the elevation side. I don't know, man. Personally, like I said, passing a money line, but I think there's value on Drew Dober KO round 2 or 3 plus 490. Played it for, what was it? Yeah, 0.2 units. So we're trying to win 500 on a late Dober knockout here. My read is either guy could, get served, but I think as this fight extends, I do think Gene will slow down here. And Dober will keep coming. So 145, we're moving up to 155 on short notice. Give me Drew Dober, late KO here. Dober's mostly like a round 1 or 2 guy, but he has some late ones as well. So plus 490 there, like that spot. Next fight up, we got Muslim Salikov and Santiago Ponzinibbio. Both these guys are pretty washed. Pons looked terrible against Morono. He was getting wobbled. Anything that landed clean on him, he was getting hurt. And he kind of just like jabbed at the body for 12 minutes until Morono gassed out a bit, and Ponzinibbio was able to land that right hand and put him out. So not like a good performance, not a good win at all. Looked terrible. And then we saw against Kevin Holland, he was able to survive a bit, but even some of the visuals there, man, I think his durability is going. And then we look at Muslim, he gets sparked by Randy Brown in 3 minutes. Not a great look. No shame in getting knocked out by Leach. It's actually crazy that Muslim was a favorite over Leach there over at Long Island a couple years back. This matchup, though, I think either guy can finish the other one, whether that be Muslim knockout early or Pons knockout 2-3 when Muslim's going to gas here. If this extends, man, he's going to gas. I bet ITD here, so fight ends inside the distance at minus 120. It's currently at minus 150. So I capped it around 65%-ish. So I think there's still even value at the current line. What the worry would be is a sloppy, greasy, old man decision where neither guy is like looking good and he just plays out like shit and no one does anything. But I do think probably getting chinned here. Like I said, Muslim either finds it early or Pons late. So give me fight ends ITD minus 120 for 1 unit. All right, main event time. We got Tracy Cortez and Rose Namajunas. I bet Tracy here. So 1 unit at plus 187. And I'll start on the Rose side because I'm fading her. So I rewatched Rose's entire UFC career for this. From the first Esparza to Angela Hill to Tisha to Michelle Larson Gomez to all her title fights to where she's now at a flyweight. The reason for this is I thought that Rose, she even could be still, but I thought that she was the best strawweight I've ever seen. And the run that she went on in terms of when she put it on girls, when she finished Michelle Larson Gomez, just pieces her up, lands a big head kick, knocks her down, gets to the back, chokes her the fuck out. Her knockout over Joanna hurts her in round 1 early. A couple minutes later, boom, knocks her out. She gets a finish over Weili Zhang. Who was finishing Weili Zhang? So when you look at Rose's career, there is so much good tape, so much good footage. I mean it, man. I think she, was the best strawweight that I've personally seen. Now, the issue with all this is we get to May 2022, Carla Esparza versus Rose Namajunas. And they put on the worst title fight ever, in the history. It was so bad. It's probably been worse, but it was god-awful. Neither did anything. Rose was very content to land 4 or 5 jabs around, use a lot of footwork, just kind of literally do nothing. Neither girl did anything in that fight. And the whole time, Pat Barry's in her corner telling her, "You're doing a great job, Rose. You're winning this fight. Great job." But her response to that fight, okay, you put on that terrible performance, and instead of avenging your loss and going out there, you decide we're going to move up in weight to flyweight, okay? I don't like her. I don't know why she's even here at flyweight. And we're going to get rid of Trevor Whitman. It's just a big step there, and I think she's going in the wrong direction. When I rewatch her start of her career, okay, the first 7 years of Rose's career in the UFC, I love I love her striking, man. Her footwork is so good. Absolutely love her hands. The combination, the 1-2, the punching combination, ending with like a head kick, ending with a leg kick. She just looked so much better as a striker early on in her career compared to now. I'm gonna be honest, man. In that Ribas fight, she may have thrown like, it's under 10 combinations. It's probably like, she probably threw 4 combinations there. She's all one shot now. It's all, I'll land my jab, I'll land the right hand. Okay, we'll throw a head kick. She's not looking at all as confident as she used to. And I feel like, you know, I don't know if it was after the Andrade head slam. I just feel like Rose's tenacity has taken a little step and a little decline there. And, you know, look, she got the win over Ribas, but that fight's won on very, very, like, small margins. Ribas dropped, what was it, round 2. She ended up going for, like, a heel hook, end zone bottom. Some of her head and arm throws, she would end up on bottom. Like, Rose is able to secure 2 of the rounds there on top time, on Ribas doing just, like, stupid fight IQ stuff. And without those moments, I mean, the fight was probably a 48-47, even with Ribas, like, fighting suboptimally. When you look at Rose's striking, she's landing about 20 strikes per round on average. And like I mentioned, she's really not separating on the feet like she used to, man. I don't like her without Trevor Whitman in her corner. I really don't like this girl's striking anymore. It's still good. Her footwork is amazing. But I don't think the Rose that I've been watching in her last, like, 3 fights here is the same that we saw in the come-up, man. I think she has taken a step back, and I don't think she's at the right weight class. I don't think flyweight is meant for her. And I know there's a ton of, like, Tracy Cortez, I'm not even, like, that crazy high on her game and, like, what she can do at the UFC level. I don't think she is a future champ, okay? Like, just be clear. But I think when you look at this, like, Cortez has very good physicality, okay? She's a natural 125er. And I saw her, you know, Gatto's a pretty physicality-driven fighter, and then so is Jazz. And she actually looked like the more stronger fighter against Jazz and Melissa Gatto there. When I look at, like, Rose, yeah, it's just her 3rd fight now at this weight class, but I don't think she has the physicality like Cortez does. And just that in women's MMA sometimes means a lot. If Cortez cannot get her down, she is going to lose this fight. She's not going to win a 25-minute striking affair if it only plays on the feet. I think she can have moments, you know, in rounds. I think she can get inside, land some combinations. The worry is the straight shots of Rose, man. Rose's hands are going to be a lot cleaner. She's going to be better defensively. She's going to have much better footwork. We have seen Tracy get knocked down before at the UFC level. So Rose is a girl that did carry a lot of power at 115. You never know. Maybe she finds it here. But this is very likely to go to the full 5 rounds. And if it does, I tend to think this plays out very, very competitively. Rose doesn't separate much in decisions. I know she's won a ton of decisions. I know. I get that. But typically, it's either a split decision or she's winning, you know, in the 5-rounders. I know they're scoring them like 49-46. I think it's 48-47. She's winning a lot of 3-2 5-rounders. Close fights. And I'm not trying to discredit because she's fighting the best girls in the world. She's going to split with, you know, Jessica Andrade, which she probably lost there. She's going to split with Zhang Wei Li. Good fight. She went to split with Carolina Kalwakes a while back, but you don't love that. I feel like in decisions, when Rose is not finishing someone, when she finishes, man, she runs through them, bro. It's like that first, second round. We saw a late finish too with her. But when she's finishing, like, she looks dominant. But when it hits the judges' scorecards, man, I don't want to be holding Rose minus 220. Because I said it last fight against Ribas that I wouldn't bet Rose. I ended up doing it anyway. I still ended up like, fuck it. I think she wins here at a pretty high clip. And you just don't feel good laying Rose chalk. And I know my whole like narrative argument here isn't even really based on like Tracy's skills, which I think she's skillful, but my main point is I don't trust Rose Namajunas at minus 220 at flyweight at this point of her career. And not like she's that old, but the Rose that fought 3 years ago and the Rose now, I'm sorry, it's not the same girl. She does not look as confident. She does not let her hands go. She's not at, I don't know, man, the tenacity's gone. I don't know what it is that fucker Pat Barry did. Like, I don't know what this man did. And then on Tracy's side, you got the young, up-and-coming girl. Her striking still has a ways to go. It looked better last fight, but I think she's a very good wrestler. I like her physicality. I like her gym. Yeah, man, I'll take the shot on Tracy here. Plus 187 for 1 unit. Overall, I think her path is probably a split decision. That's probably how she would win this fight. But I can't get past Rose minus 150, like 165, 170 here. So give me the shot on Tracy Cortez for 1 unit. That is it, guys. If you like the video, please like, subscribe, and I'll get one out. We'll be on next week's card. We'll try to get them out on Wednesdays going forward. But appreciate you guys. Make some money this weekend.